Hello and welcome to Diamond Care Inc. Today's presentation is going to cover unusual incident and abuse reporting. And my name is Jenna Silva and I will be your narrator and educator. So the training overview is going to cover Title 22, 87211 reporting requirements, mandating reporter responsibilities, UIR binder procedures, which stands for Unusual Incident Reporting, and the SOC 341 Abuse Reporting. What is an unusual incident, you may ask yourself? This is any event affecting a resident's safety. This includes any abuse, injuries, medical emergencies, or medication errors. And then in the unusual incident report, we're going to include missing residents and deaths, and they must be reported within a timely manner. Examples of major incidents: falls with injuries, head injuries, medications that cause harm or medication errors, resident-to-resident aggression, and this includes extreme verbal or abusive physical altercations, sexual abuse allegations, and financial abuse of an elderly. Care provider responsibilities. You're going to ensure the resident's safety first. This means if you need to intervene or pull the resident from the area to prevent further harm, you're going to do so. You're going to call for help. You're going to stay with the resident, and you're going to follow 911's instructions. You're going to notify the administrator immediately. I know that in the event of a fall or a medical emergency, that is the furthest thing from your mind. But however, the goal is that you're going to notify within the hour. And this will include your on-call administrator. And later on, we will have that rotation set up. And so you will know who is on call for that day and time. And then you're going to complete a Diamond Care incident report form. You're going to keep it factual and not opinionated, meaning sometimes when we witness an event, we have our own opinions that we feel like led to that sad event. You're only going to report on what you actually saw. For example, walked into room, resident found down on ground, resident was alert, complained of no pain, called 911. That is what we saw. That's what we did. We are not going to say, walked into room, found resident down on the ground. I've told her before not to get up without help. I believe she did what she wanted. She ended up falling. I believe she's got a broken hip. That's all our opinions. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to keep it strict to the event itself. You're going to notify the administrator. Oh, sorry, I already covered that one. And then you're going to submit the documentation before the end of the shift. This is extremely important. You are not going to leave the facility without filling out an incident reporting form. We have in the office, there is a blue binder. It's a baby blue, and it's called Unusual Incident Reporting. In that binder, you will find the forms that have been created to help you to fill out what is the incident. It'll go over some questions to help you better describe the situation. And then there are tabs within this binder. You will see the tabs. if today is the 15th, we're going to put that incident report underneath the 15th tab for the 15th of the month. So reporting timelines. The state of California Department of Social Services requires us to report certain things within certain timelines. Administrator must be notified immediately, no later than an hour. Administrator then will inform the Department of Social Services within 24 hours of events that caused major injury or death. So, for example, if a resident passes away, we must notify the Department of Social Services within 24 hours. If a resident goes out for a bladder concern, we have us as administrators have a little longer time frames, up to 7 days. Diamond Care's policy internally is going to be that we're going to try to get it in by the end of the 3rd business day. Administrator will send the written report, and then for what is called an SOC 341 required for abuse, it is a form that is different than other forms. This is a state required form that me as the administrator or any of the other supervisors cannot fill out for you. This form is considered to be a legal document. And we can go over that form together, but this is going to pretty much report what type of abuse that we're suspecting and go over the circumstances of the concern of the abuse. And it's your responsibility also to notify law enforcement and the ombudsman. The office staff is here to assist you with this. We will walk you through the process and help you, navigate it. However, if you feel like, you've got it on your own, you can absolutely do it on your own, but please note, do not call 911 for these types of things. You will call the local sheriff's department, and we'll have that number for you later on in the slides. So once again, UIR binder procedures. All incident reports must be placed in the binder. Organized by daily tabs. Includes Diamond Care reporting forms and supporting documentation. So this means emails, screenshots, text messaging, hospital paperwork, etc. So if you notified the group chat of an incident, you're going to screenshot that to include in on your incident reporting form. If you text messaged a family because you were unable to get a hold of them via phone and you notified them that their loved one was sent to the hospital, you'll take a screenshot of that. And the binder itself is going to be reviewed by administration, particularly the administrator, at the end of the month. And the goal of that is going to be to look for trends and any safety concerns that we can address and better improve our quality of care. Abuse reporting requirements. So we are all mandated reporters. When you work in healthcare and you oversee the care of a vulnerable population, such as the residents at Diamond Care, you are a mandated reporter. So that means if you see or suspect any type of abuse, you must report it. This is not intended to be scary for you or anything like that, but however, if abuse is later found to have been taking place and you did not report the abuse, you can be held just as liable as the abuser. So please, If you suspect, please report it to administration, fill out your forms. So the abuse can be financial, sexual, physical, neglect, and resident-to-resident abuse. Abuse reporting requirements, SOC 341. What is it? An official California form for reporting suspected elder and dependent abuse. Required for physical, sexual, financial abuse, or neglect. Mandated by Welfare and Institutional Codes 15630, used by RCFE administrators for the Department of Social Services, the Ombudsman, and law enforcement. Who completes an SOC 341? All staff. It doesn't matter your position here with Diamond Care. All staff are mandated reporters. Care providers notify the administrator immediately. Administrator will complete and submit their own documentation, but the SOC 341 must be filled out by the individual who is suspecting or witnessing the care. You must be the one to call Sheriff's Department to file a concern of abuse. Care providers must still complete the DMI incident reporting form. Abuse reporting requirements, step by step. Section A, reporting party information. This would be your name. Step B, Section B, resident victim information. Section C, type of abuse. Check all that apply. Sometimes abuse happens with multiple areas of concern. Section D, incident description. Facts only. Once again, we're not going to give our opinion on the situation. We are only going to write down what we saw. Section E, suspected abuser, if known. Sometimes you may hear a resident, for example, on the phone with a loved one, and you hear them maybe yelling, screaming, threatening, coercing them out of money, etc. If you can get the name of the caller, great. But sometimes it's an unknown family member. And so we still have to report that because it is still a form of abuse. And then on Section F, agencies notify Ombudsman, Department of Social Services, your administrator, etc. SOC 341 documentation tips. Once again, you're going to hear me like a broken record. Document facts only. Keep your opinions out of the reporting. Same goes when you're verbally reporting. Keep your feelings and personal thoughts out of it and only report on what you saw. Use dates, times, and direct observations. Attach any injury photos or body diagrams, and then attach notes, care notes, and witness statements. So, for example, a resident could come to you and say that they've physically witnessed another resident harm another resident. You would take their statement and write it into a note and use that as part of your reporting. Here at Diamond Care, knock on wood, thankfully all our residents are very well behaved with each other and we don't have these situations. But however, just because a elderly person has a neurocognitive impairment known as an NCI or MCI, and this covers the wide brand of different diagnoses that we know as Alzheimer's, dementia, schizophrenia, bipolar, etc. A neurocognitive impairment does not eliminate us from reporting abuse. The state of California still considers that abuse. Plain and simple being, what if that was your loved one who was on the receiving end of somebody's anger and your loved one was hurt? You're going to still want that report done. And so that also helps protect Diamond Care from any personal liability or allegations of a caregiver doing the harm. So we still need to report resident on resident abuse and behavior because it's just the right thing to do. And not only that, we have to show where any injuries and so forth come from if that happens to be the situation or the case. Abuse reporting requirements. So documentation, place in the UR binder. So the SOC 341, just like the Diamond Care incident report, is going to go in the binder. Be sure to still fill out the DMI report, attach supporting documents, include factual statements, and then administrator will also do their part and fill these documents out and report to DSS and also the ombudsman themselves. And then follow-up investigation will be completed. Once again, submit before your end of your shift. You're noticing I'm repeating myself quite frequently here. And the reason why I'm repeating myself quite frequently here is that this is a serious topic and I want you guys to retain it. So if you need to stop, rewind, go back a couple of slides, please do. But just keep in mind, you report within the hour, you fill out the Diamond Care incident reporting form. If abuse is the problem, then you're going to fill out the SOC 341 as well, and you're going to notify law enforcement. Once again, place the SOC 341 underneath the date of the tab corresponding. For example, if today is the 15th of the month, we're going to put it underneath the 15th of the month. We're going to attach all our supporting documents. So documentation's required. Say it along with me. We're going to complete our DMI incident report form. If abuse is happening, we're going to include that SOC 341. We're going to attach supporting documentation, include factual statements, and submit before the end of our shift. So, reporting to local law enforcement. This can be intimidating, it can be scary, but just keep in mind that we are here to protect the residents that we care for, and this is just part of that extension of protection. The law enforcement is not going to scold you because you called in to report, but you're going to need to still report. So if the resident is in danger, so only if the resident is in immediate danger. For example, somebody brings a weapon onto campus, a gun, a knife, or anything that can harm anyone, you're going to call 911 immediately. Unfortunately, in today's society, many times it's happened throughout the United States that loved ones have gone into care facilities and caused harm to their loved one who is there in care and has also then turned around and caused harm to themselves. Many times this happens out of fear of losing their loved one and them not going with them. It can come from a place of financial concern, but regardless of the reason that someone may come in and potentially cause harm to one of our residents, you need to call 911. If a resident's visitor is acting just a little bit unusual and you have any type of safety concern, follow your gut, call the administrator, notify the supervisor on duty immediately. It's a sad thing, but unfortunately, these events have happened in the recent even year where loved ones have done some horrible things. So you're going to call 911. If there's no immediate harm, meaning it's a financial abuse situation or you suspect sexual abuse has occurred, you're going to call the San Joaquin Sheriff's Department. And their phone number is 209-468-4400. You're going to report sexual assault, physical abuse, or criminal activity. You're going to provide the resident's name, date, time, and incident details. Typically, once you call local law enforcement to report these situations, they will do a non-emergent dispatch for a sheriff to come out and do an in-person intake of the situation. Be sure to ask for a report number. Take the officer's name and any other details that you can potentially obtain showing support that you have reported the situation. You're also going to follow the administrator's direction or the administrator on call. So when you report this in and you report it into whoever is in charge, depending upon the situation, we may have additional directions for you to follow. And the same thing goes for the local law enforcement. They may require you to also report and follow additional directions. And then documentation, once again, name, badge, etc. I kind of jumped ahead of myself there on that slide, but just make sure you document everything. Key thing also to remember in healthcare, even though we're not healthcare, we are still care, is if we don't document it, it didn't happen. And so we want to make sure everything gets documented to show a trail of events. So you're also going to want to report to the long-term care ombudsman. It's a required for suspected abuse in RCFE facilities. Administrator can contact the ombudsman with you or for you, and there are required time frames. Same as the unusual incident reporting, we're looking at 24 to 7 days. 24 hours to 7 days. You're going to give them copies of the SOC 341. You're going to provide them with all the same information, and you're going to ask if there is a document ombudsman case number that you can put into your report as well to show you did said reporting. Abuse reporting requirements. Once again, repeat this with me. We're going to do documentation review. We're going to complete a Diamond Care Inc. incident reporting form that is in the baby blue binder in the office. Okay, we're going to complete an SOC 341. We're going to document that we contact law enforcement. We're going to document that we contacted the ombudsman. We're going to put any supporting documents into the binder. We're going to take a paperclip it all together for screenshots and things like that you may print out. Make sure you write the resident's initials or name at the bottom of documentation so we know who it belongs to. And we're going to place it in the binder underneath the tab for the day of the month. Once again, if today is the 15th of the month, we're going to place it underneath the 15th tab. So training recap, we're going to ensure the resident safety first. That's first and foremost. We're going to notify the administrator immediately of all unusual incidents. An unusual incident keep in mind, anybody who's sent out to the emergency room, anybody who has had a fall, anybody who may have had a medication reaction or a medication error, anybody who you may suspect a financial sexual abuse, that's unusual. Also, we must document and put into an incident report refusal of medications. That is also an unusual event. It's not 911 or police reportable, and I forgot to mention it earlier, but refusal of a medication is also considered an unusual event. You're going to complete this all before the end of your shift. Say it with me. We will not go home until we fill out our paperwork and notify everybody that needs to be notified. The administrator has their own responsibilities in this, or the administrator on duty. We're going to report all major incidences to DSS within the required timelines under Title 22, Section 87211. We're going to also report any suspected abuse using SOC 341. Remember, if you're the one who suspects or witnesses any financial, physical, or sexual abuse, it is your responsibility to fill out the SOC 341. Reminder, if you need help with any of this, please reach out to the supervisor on duty, administrator on call, or administrator. Administrator will report to DSS, the ombudsman, and law enforcement when required. I may need to also make my own report after my investigation's concluded on any suspected physical, emotional, sexual, or financial abuse. But you, as the witnessee, need to still report it to the local sheriff's department. We're going to place all the documentation in the binder. Say it with me. We're going to replace all the documentation in the binder. And we're going to report on the facts only. The fact: walked in resident room at 10:15 a.m. Found resident down on ground. Resident was awake, alert, oriented, complained of pain or complained of no pain. Called 911. We sent resident to the emergency department to St. Joe's Hospital. That is the facts. We're not going to report resident slipped and fell again, does not follow directions. I've told her before she needs to follow directions. I think she just wants to do whatever she wants to do. That is our opinions on the situation. Keep it factual. And then all staff are mandated reporters. So please remember, anything that you see or suspect, you are a mandated reporter. Okay, just like the other trainings, there is a post-test review. So in the in-service binder, find this topic, unusual incident reporting, and SOC 341. Post-test review, make sure you take it. You got to pass with an 80% or better. Review the training points. You can review the PowerPoints. Ensure that you understand all of this. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. You will see another training that is going to go in more detail under what is elder abuse, what is financial abuse, and all the different scenarios that you may see. This topic is only covering how to do the reporting and how to fill out the forms and where to obtain the forms and the timelines that you need to complete said topics. I hope you learned something new today, and once again, thank you for watching today's training.